Hello and welcome to episode number 8 of Multifamily Investing with Bob Biggins. I'm Bob Biggins and I'm happy to have with me Mr. Jordan Klint. I've known Jordan for many years. He's been a real estate investor for over 20 years. Jordan started it early in his real estate life looking through actual paper, newspaper classified ads. For his first house, he got a handyman special. That house and many other projects with his dad gave him an enduring devotion to saving decrepit houses. And his timing was especially fortunate after completing a couple live-in fix and flips. He bought his first rental in 2009 and has bought one or more units every year since then. His method, the low and slow crockpot method of building a rental empire, is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but allowed him to build a great small-town landlord life where he gets to spend most of his time looking for buying, fixing up, and doing service calls on his rental properties. When he's not out servicing, he's out playing softball, working on his family farm. You can find him listening to a Cubs game and nerding out on local zoning ordinances. He's a proud dad of 5 kids who are often conspired into various rental projects with the promise of a speedy freeze at the end, I'm sure. I've done the same thing when my kids were younger. Married to Leah, who loves to go to Taco Bell with him, probably after these rental projects. Jordan, welcome.
Welcome.
Yay.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming over. I read your bio, but can you give me a little more comprehensive comments about your background, your real estate, construction, remodeling? What do you like the best? I know you were on, Jordan was on 2 episodes of Bigger Pockets, which is one of the real estate's biggest podcasts. 2 different times he was a guest on these, so we'll talk about that as well. But tell me more about
that's a lot to cover in one.
I know. Sorry,
So I got started in engineering actually, and that's where we first met. We actually worked together 20-something years ago.
In engineering, we did before real estate.
So I did engineering for a long time, and I was really inspired by the movie Office Space. I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Office Space.
I'm not.
It's a cult classic, so you'll have to do some homework
Office
and
Space,
watch that. It's about a guy in like software and kind of just hates his life, and it's pretty boring, you know. And I decided I wasn't going to hate my life, and I was going to come up with some solution to come up with a way to not have to work an office job for forever, you know. So real estate seemed like a good fit. I have a ton of construction background. I worked construction all through high school. My dad was an electrician, so I worked with him, and my uncle actually set modular homes. So
cool.
I did a ton of that growing up and had a lot of experience with that, so it seemed like a natural fit. And that's how I gear my real estate, is actually more on the construction side. So I fall in love with the home. I don't even fall in love with the cash flow or anything like that. I gotta love the house first before it's something I'll move on.
Great. And so can you tell me about any particularly difficult or fruitful construction projects maybe you've done? I mean, which one do you grab? I know.
Yeah.
But a lot of our listeners are construction based, but a lot of them have not done a lot of construction. So it'd be kind of interesting to some of them, I believe.
Yeah, so I think one of the big things for me especially is I got started early doing those live-in fix and flips. So that was my first few were all live in the house, remodel the house, finish it, you know, sell it, do whatever, refi, whatever you got to do to it. So I learned how to manage projects while someone was living in the home because it was me.
Right.
So I think that's actually paid off a lot now that there's tenants living in there. So I know a lot more of what I can get away with while someone's living there and what is like, you know, like that's just a non-starter. Like,
right,
you can't replace the living room and the kitchen floor at the same time while someone's living in a house. You just can't do that. I find that gives me a little bit of an advantage. Also, there's a couple things that you can always, in real estate, you can always get by. Like, even if you buy a questionable deal, if you give it enough time, like 20 years, it's going to be a good deal. If you can survive 20 years, you'll make up for some of those bad purchases. I think it gives me a little bit more advantage there, being good at the construction. So even if I miss one thing or 2 things in the inspection, you know, I can make it up because I can do it, at such low cost, just doing it myself.
I assume you do all your own home inspections?
I do. Yes, I do all my own home inspections. And again, I'm looking for quality of the house or the apartment or whatever. That's what I'm looking at primarily, because I know if it's going to be a problem, right away.
Yes.
Houses that are going to be a problem. And even if it's a good deal on price, you're going to pay for it over
You will.
time.
You're absolutely right. Yep, you're absolutely right. I couldn't agree with you more. The asset is oh so important. The numbers, you can fudge the numbers and make them look good for a while, but eventually
You can't fix a bad house.
it's going to come back and cost you a ton of money to make that a good property. I understand you have your builder's license. How'd that influence the way you approach deals other than going for the house itself, the scale of deal that you could take down, or the complexity of the projects and that sort of thing?
So the builder's license was actually Michigan. We're in Michigan, and they changed the licensing requirements many years ago. I don't know how many, 15 or
Quite a few. Yeah.
So they changed those requirements, and I actually knew the requirements were going to change, and I got in on the old side of the deal. So my continuing ed is way less and things like that. And I always had that as a backup in case. I never really wanted to work in construction, but I always had it a backup in case engineering didn't pan out, or in case some new NAFTA deal came through and all manufacturing got shipped down to who knows where. I'd have some kind of backup,
Certainly. And so you work, your education, obviously an engineering degree. I think you were my intern and several interns at our old company many years ago. And you were curious about real estate back then, I recall.
Yeah.
And so after that, what was some of your educational endeavors?
So obviously I'm just a nerd, and I love school, and I love paying for school. It must be the number one thing. So I went on, and again, to kind of diversify my engineering degree in case engineering wasn't the long-term thing, I went and got an MBA. And that was, maybe a bank would hire me if and then 2008 came along, and I was like, ooh, maybe this was good. Like, I didn't know how that was going to go. When you're living through 8 and 9, things got pretty dicey there for a little bit. So I think that added a lot of versatility to my cover letter, basically, and hopefully I could land a job in an emergency. And then I took some time off after that, probably about 10 years. I didn't do much schooling-wise, and I actually went back and got my doctorate as my kids got older. I wanted them to see that even adults can be lifelong learners and go back to school. And
that's great.
So that was it was important, because they were way too young when I was doing my master's to even know. I did my master's online, we'll call it, but you couldn't stream videos online back then.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was like, so online meant like you could email and you could take
Right.
So they actually, they would mail you a DVD, and then you would watch your class. And
Gotcha.
But it was like the first online education. Back before streaming was up to par.
And I know your dissertation was tied to real estate quite tightly in the Southwest Michigan area.
Yeah, so my dissertation actually kind of bridged the gap between my real estate background and my engineering/architecture side. So I really tied in a lot of those zoning related ideas and location proximities, and it was a good mix. And again, I liked it, and I'm glad it's done. And I
passed.
I did pass, and I don't have to do that anymore.
There you go. A lot of our listeners probably have heard the Bigger Pockets show.
Yep.
And I thought that was really cool when I heard you were on Bigger Pockets. I remember listening to the episodes. How was that? Did it change your investing mindset? Or I know that the more education and the more views you can see, the internet kind of opened things up to thinking of things way more differently than mom and pop landlording.
Yeah. So I don't know that being on the episodes changed anything exactly. I did make some pretty good acquaintances over those, from referrals out and things like that. People look me up, and there's still some people I interact with pretty regularly from those contacts. But I would say, like, my end of my engineering timeline, I was doing probably 30 hours of podcasts a week while I'm sitting there, typing up all my stuff. I was just learning. I was slaying podcasts, and eventually got to the point that it was overwhelming, even because you're taking in so many new ideas.
Right.
And everybody that you listen to is the expert in their tiny little niche, and you're like, oh, I would love to buy, laundromats that are over top of trailer parks or whatever. And you're like,
Yeah.
Because that's what he does, and so things like that. And I think that was a real good time just for learning the tons of different ways to do it, and it helped refine my strategy a little bit.
I think so.
But I wouldn't say a ton, and I didn't like veer off course. I don't buy, whatever, shopping malls or anything. I didn't go off into something like that. But you just learn a lot more what's out there, and know that if you know your market and you know what your buy box is, I think you can make money.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Your buy box.
Yep.
What your buy box is? What, a 1 unit, 4 unit, 10 unit?
My buy box is anything I can pull down. So probably anything under $1 million in about 8 miles from my house. So
wow.
I don't.
Cool.
I don't circle out too far, again, because I self-manage and I do a lot of those, and I want to be in daily contact, and I really love this area, and I want to provide valuable housing long-term for this area. So that's my little buy box, and I know when a good deal's there, and I don't have to buy a ton of them. I don't have 80 investors to feed or anything like that. So if I go a year and I don't get anything, then I don't get anything.
I know you and I, we went and looked at a 46
Yep.
that kind of met our buy box. You and I buy box,
Yep.
but the bones were okay.
Yeah.
Not great, but okay. And
Somebody else scarfed it up fast.
but they did. We didn't have much time to think about it back in 22, 23. So somebody thought it was a better deal than we did.
Yeah.
And more power to them.
But again, that's like maybe they're, if they have their buy box even more dialed in than we do, and maybe they can pull something like that down.
Exactly.
And you can jump on it real quick. So.
Exactly. I was just going to say, can you get into any of the specific episodes, or what some of the conversations were on either the first or the second?
The first one I was on was episode 63 of Bigger Pockets Money, and they were looking for someone who had actually retired that had kids.
Oh, okay.
So I was on
Freshly retired.
I was freshly. I was only semi-retired then, technically.
Yeah.
But I had kids. I had a lot of kids. I got 5 kids. So when you hear about people doing it and they can live in, they live in the back of their VW bus or whatever because it's just the 2 of them. It's a way different kind of lifestyle than when you do it with kids. So that was specifically geared towards how to do this when you have. You got to do education planning, and you got to do dentists, and you got to do that whole work, and you got all those. So your expenses are substantially more complicated. Right. So that's what that first one was on, and established a good rapport, I think, and then they had me come back later on. So that was the first episode. What was the other part of the question?
The second episode. Do you remember the number?
Yeah. Oh, I don't remember the number. It's in the 300 something. I don't know, 379.
Okay.
We'd have to look it up exactly.
Right.
But the second one was a little bit more complex, and I don't think it played as well. So the topic was very emotional, and I got a little emotional, and the host got emotional as well. So then they had to cut it kind of funny, and so it didn't play nearly as smooth. So that one was on like estate planning and wills and things like that, because my parents had just actually passed, and I had to navigate all that, and we talked through some of how that worked out well.
It was tragedy. It was a tragic.
So it was maybe a little bit too heavy for the general kind of topic.
Yeah, about real estate.
Yeah. But it was related to real estate because they had real estate, and then they had, obviously to get that all wrapped up and get it in the trusts and probates and all that kind of stuff. So.
Gotcha.
It's a little bit more heavy of a topic.
Yeah, it was heavy. I saw I did watch your first episode.
Yeah. I only send out the first one. I don't send out the second one.
I didn't really know about it until we started talking again. You did a second episode. It sounds like a pretty. Actually, I'd like to see it. I'm definitely.
There's some helpful concepts in there. Again, I'm not a lawyer or
absolutely
estate planning attorney, but it was just firsthand living through those things, and you're like, you don't know what you don't know, and most people are like, maybe if they have a will in a box somewhere, like that's going to be enough, they think, but it's not probably going to be enough. You got to do a little bit more than that, especially when you get up into some, serious net worth numbers, So go out and get your, estate taken care of and your trust and everything.
Trusts and living trusts and all that. Yep. Yeah. We actually recently did that. Kids are in their late teens and 20s, so. Good thing things didn't happen before that.
Yep.
I mean, but finally, you're right. But you just kind of delay.
It's easy to ignore,
It's important, but it's not urgent.
Yeah.
Until
it's not fun.
And it's not fun. It's really, and it's not cheap. I mean, Okay.
Don't do it yourself. That's probably another
No,
DIY.
yeah, exactly. It is DIY. You can do some projects on the property, but probably not your estate. What's your crystal ball tell you about the state of the real estate, multifamily, the economy in general?
Yeah. So the economy in general, I don't know how to even guess that.
Right.
So,
Tariffs up, tariffs down, tariffs tariffs stop.
I don't know what's going to happen with tariffs. I don't know if it's all just a game. I really don't know what to believe when we're told stuff on TV. You know, like,
right.
Is this the real truth or the thing to ignore or whatever? So that's a little bit out of my scope. I would say long term in real estate, I think the population is gonna, I think, start to crest over a little bit. I mean, we already have a birth rate problem. I think long term we're gonna have, even the immigration's not gonna probably keep up with our general population numbers. But we're looking, that's probably still 40 years out.
Oh wow.
And I think it's gonna affect places way more obscure places first. So I don't know,
larger
Charleston,
cities.
West Virginia, or something like that. That's not it's not a prime urban center. It's not a center of manufacturing. It's not a destination place.
Right.
So I think our location, I think, is going to be fine because of where we're located. And Bozeman, Montana is going to be fine, and New York's going to be fine. So some of those places aren't going to get hit at all. So even when we start having, if we ever get to the point we have too much housing in America, it's going to be very, very isolated of where we have too much.
Probably so.
Yeah. So,
that makes sense.
Miami's not going to have too much housing.
Yeah, exactly.
New York's never going to have too much housing.
Right, because more people will just come.
Yeah. I think on the multifamily side, I think a lot of that debt that they acquired in 21, 22, all that debt's starting to come up. They're going to have to start refinancing on some of those bigger projects, and the numbers didn't quite probably project where they thought it was going to be. So I would say multifamily, especially on the larger, those mid to larger scales, there might be some good opportunities coming up where people are a little bit pinched and a little bit desperate. I think it's going to be different than 2008. I think 2008 affected single family homeowners way more.
Right.
But this one, if those rates stay up and people really can't refi for what they thought, then there might be a lot more pressure out on those.
I don't know how. I don't know how they can really raise rates right now. If inflation continues, then you raise.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean,
if you reduce rates rather, inflation is just going to go back up. Yeah. So the price will go higher. So it's a tough position the Fed is in right now.
Yeah.
Very tough.
Out of my pay scale.
Seriously.
Out of my dissertation. As well,
so. All right. What are your long-term goals? Business, family, anything like that comes to mind?
Yeah. So on the business side, I would say I'm not really I don't have a numbers goal. I'm not looking for a certain number of units or profitability or anything like that. I just want to make everything a little bit better every year. So that's what we work on. So we try to pick some of the biggest pain points and we try to alleviate those. And,
right.
I do things to make everything last as long as possible. I don't want to touch it again next year. I don't want to touch it in 2 years. I want that to extend. So I've been doing a lot of steel roof replacements and get me hopefully 50 more years on a new steel roof, stuff like that. And that'll be way past my time horizon. I need to worry about
Your
that.
Your kids can thank you for it.
Yep. So things like that, I kind of switched over a little bit of that. So more into the just
longevity.
Longevity related things. And there's a lot of bang for your buck when you, doing a water rub back in an apartment, something like that, where you have one bill, but now you can split it out and then bill to each unit and things like that. So those are things that don't make a huge difference. It's $200 a month or whatever you're gonna save, but over time, that's that's significant and that's a lot of value.
For your net operating income, if you can take $200 a month, $2,400 a year, at around here we're about 7 cap, I'd say 7.5 cap. It's $2,400 is going to raise your value of your property by $30,000.
Yep.
I mean, that one little act per year, you've just raised if you're on the net operating income scale, if you're measuring your multi that way, then it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
To your overall value.
Yeah, so I got one that's on a slab where the water line comes in under. I'm trying to figure out how to execute that one properly and get that one. So I got one bill right now on that. So that's a project probably for this fall. I'll start working on that and see see if there's some spot I can actually go in and tap in and get those split back out.
So if anybody's got a solution for that, where Jordan can plug in a nice, easy, new.
I can split it on hot
solution.
real easy because I got each got their own hot water tank.
Right.
But I don't know if that's just a good enough approximation. You just assume whatever they used for hot is the same ratio as they use for cold. I don't exactly know how to do that one, but that'll be another good opportunity. So stuff like that. I'll still pick up a unit, or I'll buy, but it needs to be a good fit and something that doesn't stretch. Like I don't want to risk the whole nest dig. I wouldn't do anything to jeopardize the pretty good deal that I got going right now. So it'll just be a nice little piece. I'll add a little gem in there. I don't look at selling much, but I always just kind of keep an eye on, like, if I needed to sell one, which would be the one to sell. So I kind of always have one figured out, and I know what that would be right now if I needed to sell one. So I try to make sure that one's in as close to list condition as I can have it.
Certainly.
Just in case, like, next month comes up and I got to sell something, then
certainly
that's the one that's going to go. So
wouldn't want to have to, but
you wouldn't want to have to, but
liquidate.
you always need to know. Plus, I think it helps you keep a little bit of a balance in your head. So then it's not going to be quite as emotional when that decision time comes up.
Right.
You got to unload something.
Certainly.
As for family, my kids are starting to get to the age where they're going to start launching. I got a daughter going away to college this fall, and then the rest of the 4 are coming pretty quick behind that. So
it comes
kind of
fast.
changes your perspective a little bit. So I'm actually looking at building some new construction housing for them and giving them some opportunities in something pretty small, like a 800 square foot or something like that.
Cool.
And then kind of put my thumb on the scale a little bit for getting them to stay around, close by. So
It kind of helps.
Yeah, I'll see. We'll see. We might know more in a couple of years if it actually pans out or whatever. But.
And if you have 5 of them, some may want to be in the business.
Yep.
Family
Yeah.
business.
So some people are more inclined to that, and some are less.
Yep.
And some see crawling in a crawl space as a fun alternative to sitting at an office, and some will see it as not a fun alternative. They just need the experience. And once you do 10 years at an office, then the crawl space sounds better.
I've got 1 in college and 1 launching this year, and then the other one's 16. So I'm right there with you.
Yep, right there.
They swam together and they've done sports together, a lot of them, and so I get you. Time goes fast for sure. Anything else you want to share the audience today? Anything that you any stone unturned?
I've been learning a lot about the foreclosure process in Michigan.
Oh, cool.
It's definitely a little bit complex. We have a right of redemption period. Most states don't have that, so check into your state specific if you're looking into foreclosures, but just trying to figure out how that actually works and where there's a lot of real estate fraud that happens in foreclosures, and I think those people are exceptionally vulnerable in their state that they're at. So working through some things, seeing if we can get some law changes made at the Lansing level.
Oh, wow.
To better protect those that are vulnerable.
And you've got what, 3 or 4 under contract right now?
In various stages, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And you got to wait for that right to redemption period.
Yep. You got to wait it out and then see if they actually redeem it. I think that's one of the things. But one of the things I'm more proud of is actually we've done 4 like micro loans, we'll call them, where we were actually able to loan the original homeowner just enough to get them caught back up and get them back in good graces with their bank, and then they work through that and they pay it back off, and I think those have been real successful, and nothing makes me happier than helping somebody out.
Like
so
that.
I got the knowledge and I got the time, and
wow, that's cool.
a little bit of the resources available. So I think it's been real good, and hopefully I can do a lot more of that going forward as I learn more and more how this process works.
Would you want to put your contact information out there if anybody wants to reach out and talk to you about any of this?
Oh yeah. We're just going to add it to the bottom of the screen. It's going to show up right here. On the screen. Let's go with crustoration@gmail.com. So CRUSTORATION
@gmail.com. Phone number?
Phone number? You want to text me and everything, huh?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to.
I guess. I don't know.
Just do the email.
Yeah, email me or look me up on Twitter or Facebook or something like that.
There you go. Yeah, Jordan Klint. Well, thank you, Jordan.
Yeah.
That's all I've got. If you're good, I'm good.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. It's a wrap.